what are the issues that are affecting our country at the present moment? I would submit that there are 7 key issues that are affecting this economy. The first one is hyperinflation. Inflation in Zimbabwe right now is now the highest in the world. Even with the reduced inflation of July, our inflation is still above 500%, with month-on-month inflation more than 60%. The definition of hyperinflation, Madam Speaker, ma'am, is when inflation exceeds 50% per month. So we are back in a hyperinflationary mode. But this is regrettable, Madam Speaker, ma'am, because less than 10 years ago, we had the second highest inflation in the history of mankind, at 500 billion%, only less than Hungary in 1956. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, we've got the challenge of a collapsed exchange rate. The parallel market rate, Madam Speaker, ma'am, is over 1:800. A few days ago, it was 1:1,200. The third problem which we have, Madam Speaker, ma'am, are disposable incomes. Public servants are being paid paltry incomes which are not reflective of the reality out there. The poverty data line to survive in Zimbabwe, you need at least, for a family of 6, you need at least US $800 per month. Yet all of us here, including members of parliament, we are earning less than US $100 per month. Most of us are earning 60,000 RTGS. 60,000 RTGS, Madam Speaker, ma'am, can buy you 4 loaves of bread, it can buy you 4 bottles of cooking fat, it can buy you 4 bottles of mazoe. 79% of our people are wallowing in poverty, Madam Speaker, ma'am, surviving on less than US $1.20 a day. The fourth thing is the collapse of public services. Hospitals are closed. There are no drugs. There are no syringe machines. Our people are dying of ordinary, simple diseases. Teachers have not been going to work for literally for 2 years. Our next problem is the issue of public debt. Our next problem is the issue of arbitrage and corruption. We are using revenue of at least US $1 billion a year in gold that is being smuggled out of Zimbabwe. US $1 billion a year in respect of cigarettes that are being smuggled out of Zimbabwe. We are now in an economy run by speculators. We are now in an economy run by cartels, a few individuals that are controlling this economy and that are forcing this economy to overheat. These are the issues that we expected the minister to address in his budget. But regrettably, Honorable Speaker, Madam Speaker, he doesn't address these issues. The issue of the exchange rate needed to be fixed and sorted out as a matter of urgency. How do you sort the exchange rate? You sort the exchange rate, Madam Speaker, by allowing the multiple currency regime to operate, which he has done. But secondly, Madam Speaker, you allow the Zimbabwean dollar to float, remove the controls on the Zimbabwean dollar, and let the market find a normal stability point in the market. I was in Kenya a few days ago, Madam Speaker, they floated the Kenyan shilling. The average exchange rate is 1:6,000. Everyone knows that the Kenyan shilling trades at 1:6,000. If you go in the Kenyan bank, they will ask you, do you want Ugandan shillings, Kenyan shillings, Tanzanian shillings, euros, or a bond? The minister must float the Zimbabwean dollar so that there is currency stability in this country. And when you do that, when there's predictability and certainty, Madam Speaker, then you can budget. The 2022 budget was predicated on inflation of 35%. But inflation right now is 600%. Yet the minister knew this, it was foreseeable because the black market was there. But we also know, Madam Speaker, that the biggest generator of inflation in Zimbabwe is actually the government itself. It is the government that has been paying billions and trillions of dollars to contractors, particularly the contractors that are doing the Beit Bridge, Harare Road. Those contractors are being paid in RTGS dollars. And once they get their payments in RTGS dollars, they push it on 4th Street. And when they put it on 4th Street, the Zimbabwean dollar collapses. So an expansionary fiscal policy An ambitious fiscal policy has created money in Zimbabwe. On his own admission, brought money, Madam Speaker, ma'am, grew by 345% by May of 2022. That means the printing machines are in overdrive. And when the printing machines are in overdrive, Madam Speaker, ma'am, you create a crisis of overaccumulation. What is a crisis of overaccumulation? A crisis of overaccumulation is when you've got too much paper money chasing too few goods. We go back to 2008, where all of us were trillionaires. The last time the Reserve Bank government printed our own currency, it was $100,000, which couldn't buy you 2 bottles of soda. We now have our highest denominated note being $100 note, which can buy you a loaf of bread. That is failure, Madam Speaker. It can buy you chewing gum. That is failure, Madam Speaker, ma'am. That is failure. So the government must stop printing money through an expansionary fiscal policy. The government must live within its means, eat what it kills. It can't kill a rat and spend money like it has killed an elephant. And that is the basis of the instability arresting this economy, Madam Speaker, ma'am. I come to the projection, Madam Speaker, ma'am. The minister estimates that this economy will grow by 4.2%. He says so. He said that this is a reduction from the 7.3% growth rate of 2021. But Madam Speaker, ma'am, we know that the growth rate in 2021 was predicated by a strong agricultural system. So agriculture contributed 36% to the growth rate of 2021, which was 7.3%, Madam Speaker, ma'am. But in his own budget statement, he accepts that agriculture is going to shrink by -5%. So if your anchor, your mainstay of the economy is shrunk by -5%, where are you going to get the growth rate of 4.3%? So in our submission, Madam Speaker, ma'am, the growth rate of 4.3% is not realistic. It is not supported by any visible growth in the economy other than mining, and must be reduced further. And one of the reasons why the minister must reduce the growth further is that he has surrendered his authority and wisdom to the Reserve Bank, to number 8 Samora Machel Avenue, to John Panonetsa Mangunja. Unfortunately for the minister, Mangunja is going to lead him into total darkness. This is what John Mangunja has done. He has raised the rate of interest to 200%. Now, Madam Speaker, if you have a country such as Zimbabwe, which is prone to depressions because there is low output, I want to go back to the figures of 2020. Our economy grew by -11.7% in 2020. This is confirmed in the IMF's Article 4 report of April 2020. The minister himself, in his letter that was leaked, the letter that he wrote to the IMF in April of 2020, actually estimated himself that the growth rate of 2020 would actually be -20%. So we know that it was -11.7% in 2020, then 7.3% in 2020. But if you look from 2014 to 2021, the economy has been on a downward spiral. In fact, if you trace the history of our economy from 1960 to now, the economy has been in permanent bust mode, it's been in permanent recession mode. So if you raise rates of interest, Madam Speaker, you are discouraging economic activity in the market. You are preventing companies from borrowing because companies depend on working capital from the banking sector. You are preventing financial intermediation. And high rates of interest also don't make sense because we've got an induplum rule which says that when interest capitalizes and reaches 1%, it stops accumulating. So a rate of 200% doesn't make sense both economically and legally. But what it does, Madam Speaker, now what a high rate of interest does is that it starves the economy of oxygen, and it causes the economy to go into recession mode, to go into depression mode. And this is exactly what is happening right now, Madam Speaker. There's a collapse in aggregate demand. There's a collapse in economic activity. There's a collapse in buoyancy. You heard members of parliament saying they are being chased away from hotels. They have no money. So the economy is shrinking. So it is strange, Madam Speaker, ma'am, that in an economy which should be allowed to breathe by the injection of money, the government and its central bank is doing everything to squeeze the little economy that is there. I want to say to my learned friend, because he's very educated, much more educated than me, that in a country such as Zimbabwe, where less than 15% of the population is banked, and where those that are banked are very minimal, there is over 10 billion RTGS in the banking system, owned by less than 12 companies. Or 12 companies, Delta, Econet, Secunda, Tagbirei, their cousins, and so forth. 12 companies own the bulk of the money. In a country where the country is underbanked, your source of intervention can be monetary policy. Because monetary policy doesn't touch anyone. We don't have money in Otito, we don't have money in Tendambuya, we don't have money in Cholocho, we don't have money in Kai. So the interventions that make sense, Madam Speaker, must be supply side interventions, not monetary interventions. But he has listened to John Mangunja, he's starving the economy of oxygen, and he is making sure that the economy is now permanently stuck in default mode, permanently stuck in depression mode. I want to come to another thing, Madam Speaker, ma'am, which is the debt question. Zimbabwe